In the early 1800s, San Antonio endured many hardships. Mexico's War for Independence in 1820, the Texas Revolution in 1835, and the U.S.-Mexican War greatly affected the city.
The Civil War actually had a prosperous effect on San Antonio, but while San Antonio was prospering, the state of Texas gradually began to lose access to medicines, doctors, and so on, and feeling the impact of the war.
As San Antonio continued to struggle, Mayor Wilhelm Thiele-Pape sought help from Bishop Claude Marie Dubuis. Bishop Dubuis reached out to a convent of nuns in France and pleaded, "Our Lord Jesus Christ, suffering in the persons of a multitude of the sick and infirm of every kind, seeks relief at your hands." These words are what define the mission of the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word.
In 1869, 3 young women from France came, Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word, and they started Santa Rosa Clinic.
Sister Madeleine Colette, Pierre Cinquin, and Agnes Bisson came to San Antonio and established a clinic, which evolved into the city's first civilian hospital, Santa Rosa.
And as they did that, then they also learned that others in the city wanted to participate in that mission, and so that propelled them to think about training other women as nurses.
In the 1880s, railways were established through Texas and the Midwest. Construction of railways is a dangerous task, and many workers would sustain injuries on the job. The sisters were called upon by the railroad companies to staff hospitals and care for the injured. Soon, the railroad centers became towns, and the clinics became city hospitals in what is now known as the Christus Health System. After the sisters began their work in the Santa Rosa Infirmary, they found themselves caring for orphans. In 1874, they established an orphanage for girls, and in 1912, an orphanage for boys.
Though the first 3 sisters came because health care was needed, in a few months, patients were dying, leaving orphaned children, and then others were bringing orphans, leaving them on the doorsteps of the sisters.
The sisters saw their mission expand, and just as they accepted the call to heal, they accepted the call to teach. They began teaching in schools and soon merged with the San Fernando Parish School for Girls in 1875.
And so that was a new challenge for the sisters. It emerged from their response, because now they were not trained as teachers. They actually knew nothing about education, and education was really very primitive back then. And so they set about educating themselves and learning what they needed to learn in order to be good teachers.
Again, an example of facing new challenges they hadn't foreseen and responding to them because they were responding to Jesus Christ.
In 1892, the sisters opened their own school, Incarnate Word Academy in Texas. The school grew rapidly, forcing the sisters to move from one location to another. It wasn't until 1897 when they purchased 283 acres of the Brackenridge estate. The residents worked temporarily as a convent and a school. The new convent and school opened in 1900, and a decade later, higher education courses were offered.
The first graduate of the college was a woman from Mexico who graduated in 1910, basically with a 2-year junior college degree. But this didn't stop there. The college became a 4-year institution and began issuing Bachelor of Arts degrees.
As enrollment numbers increased, a new building was created in 1922. Incarnate Word College provided students with liberal arts education, which included traditional history courses and drama opportunities to give an international perspective to education.
We need to realize that Sister Maria del Socorro, who came from Mexico, was recognized as one of the great artists in Texas, and she firmly established Incarnate Word College as a place where you come to learn painting and sculpture and to develop in the arts.
The college, which later became the university, benefited from exceptional leaders. For example, Mother Columbkill Colbert, president from 1923 to 1960.
As the college grew, it became evident that the sisters had to provide the kind of education that would be respected across the state and across the nation. And Mother Columbkill was the right person to lead the institution and make sure that there were properly degreed instructors, other nuns that were sent to get their PhDs, that the programs that were instituted followed the lines of accreditation, and that the students who graduated would have the kind of degree that would be respected across the state and across the nation.
In 1950, the Academy's high school students moved across the campus to the new Incarnate Word High School, and in 1995, the university assumed the direction of St. Anthony's Catholic High School. The Logos, first published in 1923, was a yearbook that featured the educational and social life on campus. By the 1930s, it had become a monthly newspaper. Among annual events was the Spring Tea Dance. Recreation included horseback riding, boating, and swimming in a pool fed by the spring near the Blue Hole.
In 1900, nursing was probably OJT, on-the-job training in hospitals. And our sisters trained a lot of nurses that way.
Initially, the nursing program was based at Santa Rosa Hospital, but as the profession changed, it was moved to the college campus in 1942, where the connection with the hospital and service to the community remains. In the early 1940s, Sister Mary Victory Lewis and Father Carmelo Trances founded the Guadalupe Community Center to provide medical, nutritional, sports, and tutoring programs in San Antonio's West Side. Education has always been an important program at Incarnate Word. Along with training and education, the college provided summer opportunities for the sisters who teach in our schools.
Our sisters sent away to be educated so that when they came back, they were entrusted in developing the departments, the different departments of the school, so that we would be as academically strenuous as any of the other institutions that would have existed back then.
By 1971, the college began admitting male students for the first time into the graduate school, and later across all programs. From 1972 to 1985, Sister Margaret Patrice Slattery led the transition to lay instructors and administrators. 1981 commemorated the centennial of the original charter that authorized the sisters to provide education at all levels. The mid-80s brought in Dr. Louise Agnesi, who led the institution.
Dr. Lou Agnesi came on board in the 1980s and brought new ideas and a new recruitment, new donations, and moved the university to become a world-recognized institution.
The new programs included a doctorate in educational leadership and degrees from professional schools in the field of pharmacy, optometry, physical therapy, and osteopathic medicine. All this was possible because of the great leadership of provosts and deans and the dedication of our faculty. Because of our history and the story of the founding sisters, service to the community has remained central to the mission of the university. With the creation of the Etling Center for Civic Leadership and Sustainability, our mission continues to thrive.
This fundamental belief that God dwells in others, in the sick, in those who need to be taught, and they have passed it on from one generation to another.
Faith in the Word incarnate, the resurrected Christ dwelling in us and among us, fosters respect of one another and service to all. This is the faith of the founding sisters and of their successors from the first days to the present.
We as sisters have tried to dwell near the compassionate heart of God.
It is a faith that is nourished through prayer, expressed in many ways, and passed on to the students. The ministries of the sisters continue the mission of service across the globe. At the university remains a mission of healing and teaching, promoting faith, truth, innovation, education, and service. Dr. Thomas Evans, Incarnate Word's new president, continues to propel the mission forward. Our founding sisters and all who served devoted their lives to this mission. The future, much like the past, will involve hard work and dedication. The University of the Incarnate Word instills pride in its students and faculty. It is much more than a school. It is a call, a mission, a home.